It was the fall of 2012. I was in ninth grade, a freshman, and like most kids, I hated school, especially algebra class. It was just after lunch, around 1 p.m., and the classroom had that sleepy stillness to it. The windows were half fogged from the cold outside, and the air smelled faintly of old textbooks and pencil shavings. I was sitting in the back row, half paying attention, half doodling in my notebook. That day felt like any other, until it didn't. Suddenly, the classroom intercom clicked on with a loud buzz. We all expected the usual announcements, maybe something about a club meeting or the lunch menu for tomorrow. But instead, our principal's voice came through, and it was different. Not calm or routine like we were used to, but shaky. You could hear it, like he was trying not to panic. This is a lockdown, not a drill. Lock all doors immediately. That one sentence changed everything. Our teacher, Mrs. Jensen, froze for half a second, long enough for all of us to notice the color drain from her face. Then she rushed to the door, locked it, turned off the lights, and started closing the blinds with trembling hands. We were all looking at each other now, wide-eyed and nervous. This wasn't like the drills. This felt real. Mrs. Jensen didn't have to say anything. We all got up and quietly moved to the back corner of the room where we were supposed to hide. We crouched against the wall, trying to stay silent, but you could hear the whispers. Is it a shooter? Maybe someone broke in? Why didn't they say code red? 10 minutes passed in silence. No footsteps in the hallway, no alarms. Just a quiet tension that made the air feel thick. That's when we heard it. Thump, shuffle, drag. It wasn't coming from the hallway, and it was coming from above us. Someone, or something, was crawling in the ceiling. Our school had these old, dusty ceiling tiles, and above them was a network of crawl spaces and ductwork mainly used for maintenance. We had seen janitors go up there sometimes to fix wiring or ventilation, but this didn't sound like a maintenance worker. It was too slow, too careful, like whoever was up there was trying not to be noticed. We all looked up. The sound was faint but unmistakable, a dragging, shuffling noise moving across the tiles, directly above our classroom. I looked at Mrs. Jensen. She was staring at the ceiling, frozen, gripping her phone but not dialing. Her face was pale, lips pressed tightly together. The shuffling stopped, right above us. No one breathed. You could hear someone's stomach growl. It was that quiet. Then it happened. Bang! One of the ceiling tiles near the whiteboard cracked, then caved in slightly. And through the hole, a hand dropped down. Long, pale, thin. The skin looked dry, almost rotted. The fingernails were long, cracked and black. Not dirty, black, like something had been eating away at them. The hand twitched, then started to grip the edge of the broken tile, pulling downward like it was trying to open a way in. Someone gasped. Someone else whimpered, but no one moved. Mrs. Jensen picked up the heaviest textbook she could find and hurled it at the hand. It disappeared just as fast as it had appeared, retreating with a scratchy sound across the panels. For a few moments there was nothing, just our heartbeats and the soft creaking of the ceiling. Then sirens. Minutes later, the school was swarming with police. Room by room, they escorted us out into the freezing November air. Some kids were crying. Some were laughing nervously, trying to act like it was a prank or a joke. But I knew better. The rumors started flying almost immediately. Apparently, years ago, a janitor had been caught watching female students through vents and hidden cameras. There were reports he had stalked kids after school. One day, he just vanished. Fired, maybe. Or arrested. No one really knew. But the weird part? There was never any official statement. No charges filed. No public letter. Just quiet whispers and a missing name from the school staff list. Some people believed he left town. Others weren't so sure. Then the truth came out. Police found signs of someone living inside the ceiling crawl spaces. An old sleeping bag, food wrappers, a flashlight, empty bottles, and worst of all, notebooks. Pages filled with handwritten notes about students, including full names, locker numbers, and classroom schedules. He had been watching us for years. And not just watching, living above us. We still don't know how long he was up there, or what he wanted, or why he picked that exact moment to finally drop in. But here's the part that still haunts me the most. 2 weeks later, a different teacher, in a different hallway, heard tapping sounds above her classroom after school hours. When police checked the crawl space again, everything was gone. He had vanished. Again. Maybe he's still hiding in someone else's school. Maybe he's waiting. But I'll never forget that pale hand, those black fingernails, or the feeling that we had been studied like rats in a maze. Sometimes I still wake up at night thinking I hear footsteps above me. There was always this rumor at my high school about room 304 being cursed. Technically, it had been turned into a supply closet way before I even started there, but everybody knew the story. Back in 1999, a girl named Rachel Hargrove had a seizure during a group presentation. She collapsed and hit her head on the corner of the teacher's desk. The room was packed. Everyone saw it. But what made it worse was that no one moved. They just froze. A few students said she was still breathing at first. Others claimed she was whispering something before she stopped. The teacher was out of the room when it happened. The official story was that it was a tragic medical accident, but the whispers were different. Some kids said Rachel had been talking to herself the week before, that she'd scribbled things all over her notebook, symbols, names, times. I never saw any of that, obviously. It happened way before my time, but every year someone brought it up, and every year a new version of the story added something creepier. What always stayed the same was that Rachel had died in room 304, and the school sealed it up less than a month later. Now here's where my story comes in. This happened during my junior year, just this past winter. The day started normal. Gray skies, snow flurries, the usual rush to finish homework during first period. I had just finished lunch and was sitting in English when the intercom crackled and the principal's voice came on. "Attention all students and staff. We are initiating a lockdown. This is not a drill. I repeat, this is not a drill." Everyone went silent. Our teacher, Mr. Duncan, calmly told us to move to the back of the room and stay low. He locked the door, turned off the lights, and shut the blinds. We all sat behind the desks in total silence. Some of us looked scared. A couple kids whispered nervously, asking if it was a shooter. But after about 5 minutes, the hallway outside our classroom, which was just 2 doors down from where room 304 used to be, went completely silent. No alarms, no movement. Then we heard something that didn't fit. It was crying, not loud, soft but piercing. It echoed like it was happening in a wide, empty room. At first we thought it might be another student stuck in the hall, but then we realized something was wrong. The crying wasn't frantic or scared, it was slow, repetitive, like a sound looped over and over again. A whimper, a sob, a gasp, then silence. Then it repeated. It went on for over a minute. No footsteps, no doors opening, just that crying. My friend Jace leaned forward and mouthed, "Is someone faking it?" I didn't answer. I was frozen, staring at the classroom door. Then 3 slow knocks, deliberate, heavy, like knuckles on wood. The sound came from just outside the door. The crying stopped instantly. No one moved. Even Mr. Duncan looked freaked out. He silently pointed at me to check the door. Not open it, just look. So I crawled across the floor, heart pounding, and peeked through the tiny circular keyhole. The hallway was completely empty. No shadows, no movement, no sound. I whispered back to him, "No one's there." He raised an eyebrow, then pulled out his phone. But we had no service, probably locked down by the school system. About 10 minutes later, the lockdown was lifted. They never explained what caused it. We all got sent home early due to weather complications, but by then the snow hadn't even started sticking yet. That night I couldn't stop thinking about the crying. I texted a friend whose sister worked part-time in the school's security office. She called me and said something weird had definitely happened. They were reviewing hallway camera feeds, and apparently the footage right outside our classroom, the same hallway that led to room 304, had gone black for exactly 3 minutes during the lockdown. Every other hallway was fine. Just that one had cut out. No glitch, no power issue. Just 3 minutes of corrupted feed. Worse, the tech team said the camera didn't go offline. It recorded the time, but nothing. Just static. No audio, no video, no timestamp change. It was like the hallway wasn't there at all. The next day, our teacher didn't come in. Sub filled in. Mr. Duncan took a week off. No one said anything officially, but a few of us started referring to it as Rachel's Hall. A few months later, the school remodeled that wing, moved classrooms, painted over the doors. But I still walk past that spot sometimes. And every time I do, I get this sick, cold feeling in my chest, like I'm being watched from the other side of something I can't see. I don't believe in ghosts, really. But I do believe in places remembering things, and I don't think Rachel ever left room 304. Back when the first lockdown hit in early 2020, everything stopped. Schools, offices, shops shut down overnight. I was 17 at the time. Like most high school seniors, I was thrilled at first. No more early alarms, no classes, no teachers breathing down our necks. It felt like an unexpected summer break dropped in the middle of March, but the excitement wore off quickly. Within weeks, the days started blending together. Wake up late, scroll through my phone, eat, watch something mindless, sleep, repeat. I remember thinking how quiet the world had become. The streets were empty. Even the birds outside seemed unsure whether to keep singing. It was during one of those long, dull evenings that I messaged a couple of my friends from school. "Let's go play cricket or something, man. I'm losing my mind here." There was an open field right across from our high school. It was usually empty with enough space to run around and set up a quick game. We met there that weekend, just 4 of us. No crowd, no noise, just some fresh air and the thud of a tennis ball hitting wood. We started doing it every other day. It gave us something to look forward to. That was until one particular afternoon. It was overcast, the kind of sky where the clouds look heavy and gray like they're holding back rain. We were already a few overs in when I hit a shot, probably my cleanest hit ever, and the ball soared over the chain link fence, right into the school compound. Now that might not sound like a big deal, but our school had been locked since mid-March. The building was sealed and the gates had chains on them. "I'll get it," I said instinctively. I had climbed that wall before, back when we used to sneak in during lunch or after school to cut across the yard. Climbing it wasn't hard. I tossed my bat aside, pulled myself up and hopped down onto the school side, and right away, something felt off. You know when it's so quiet that your own breathing sounds loud? That kind of quiet. No distant traffic, no birds, not even the sound of wind through the trees. It was like stepping into a vacuum. I spotted the ball near the old wooden assembly stage. As I walked toward it, my sneakers crunched softly on gravel and dry leaves. Just as I bent to pick it up, I heard it, a soft dragging noise. It wasn't close, maybe 30, 40 feet away, but it was distinct, like the sound of something heavy being pulled slowly across the tiled floor. I froze. At first, I thought it might be a janitor. Maybe someone was still doing maintenance work. But then I remembered all the gates were locked. The entire place was supposed to be empty. And besides, it didn't sound like a broom or mop. It was more like something being dragged. I looked toward the main hallway windows. Some of the glass panels had long cracks in them from years of wear. I stepped cautiously toward one and peeked inside. It was dark. I could make out the faint silhouette of lockers, a water fountain, and classroom doors on either side. Everything looked untouched. Then, slam. One of the doors at the far end of the hallway slammed shut. Not a breeze, not a creak. It was loud, sudden, and intentional. I jumped back, heart pounding. There was no one else inside. There couldn't be. And yet, just before the slam, I saw it. A shadow. Movement. Not full-bodied, but enough to know something was there. I didn't even look back. I grabbed the ball and climbed over the wall like my life depended on it. My friends asked me what happened. I told them I wasn't feeling well and wanted to head home. I didn't mention the sound, or the door, or the shadow. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying the moment in my head. The silence, the slam, the shape. The next day I went online and looked up our school. Not much came up, just a few board meetings and old news about budget cuts. But then I came across an old community forum, the kind barely anyone uses anymore. And buried deep in a thread from 2015, someone mentioned that a former security guard had once been found living inside the school without permission. Apparently he'd lost his job and never left. He stayed in the basement storage area for weeks, maybe longer, ate leftover food from the cafeteria, wandered the halls at night. When they finally found him, he was arrested, but the school never made a public statement, just swept it under the rug. I don't know if it was him or someone else, maybe just my imagination messing with me after weeks of isolation. But here's the part that sticks with me. A few days later, one of the security cameras at the back of the school caught movement during the night. The clip showed a tall, thin figure walking along the edge of the building and then disappearing behind a dumpster. The timestamp? Just 2 hours after we left the field. They say the school was empty, but I'm not so sure. Whatever I saw or almost saw that day wasn't meant to be seen, and I've never gone near that building since.